Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Asian Business Owners, the podcast that explores the real human journey behind building a business in Asia. This episode is part of my summer series. It's the last episode of my summer series, a collection of short and fresh conversations with founders about what's on their mind, the lessons they've learned, and how they're navigating life and business this summer. We're recording at the Hive Poho in Chungwon, my venue partner for this series. Building a business can feel lonely. That's why I wanted to record the summer series at the Hive, a place for founders to work from, to be part of a community. So if you'd like to meet other business owners, feel free to check out their 6 locations across Hong Kong. Hello, Julien.
Hi, Carmen.
This is the last episode of the summer series. I'm glad to end this series with you. You're the only man of this series. To introduce yourself, can you tell us what your business is, where you're from, and what your mood is today?
Okay, sure. My name is Julien Gaubert Molina. I'm obviously French, from Paris. I didn't spend much time in Paris. After my business school, I had a chance to move overseas. I work for big corporations like IBM in London, also in Paris. And I moved to New York when I was 25, and I work for Hermès in the US. Luckily, after this wonderful overseas experience, I realized that I wanted to be more autonomous. So I joined a few entrepreneurs to build a creative digital agency named Same But Different. So you can tell by the name, it was already creative, let's say this way. And after a few years in Paris, they gave me the opportunity to move to Asia. So I moved to Shanghai, where I lead the agency. And after some time in China, in mainland China, I moved to Hong Kong 10 years ago. And 5 years ago, exactly during COVID. I think COVID for me is a bit like summertime, is a window when you can consider changes. I've decided to join another creative agency. The name is Ykone, Ykone, and Ykone belongs to the One Group. And Ykone is a creative agency leading influence. So I guess we might have time to discuss about what is influence, content creation, so productions, and event productions. And I'm very happy to be here. So the mood is very positive.
Just for new listeners, this is the second episode we record together with Julien. We recorded one a year and a half ago or something like that.
I think so.
And we deep dive into influencer marketing. And so feel free to... I can add it in the description. So today I have 6 questions for you, and you don't know the questions. So the first question, pretty simple, is what brings you joy these days?
It's a good one. There are 2 aspects I would like to share, maybe from a professional perspective and from a personal perspective. The diversity of the topic I'm dealing with every day, because I'm lucky enough to be surrounded by creative mindset. In the business I lead today, we are, let's say at this moment, we are planning a big event in Shanghai during the Fashion Week. How many events you have during a Fashion Week? Probably, we are not able to count, right? So how do you make your event different? How do you make your event more impactful? So this is going to happen on a rooftop in one of the biggest shopping malls of Shanghai. So there are going to be a lot of things happening, like we are creating a summer vibes from the Middle East that will be in the middle of Shanghai. So there will be a catwalk. There will be a lot of things happening, probably a pool. I will say this is one thing. At the same time, we've been shooting a campaign for a shoe American brand in Shanghai as well. So the point here is like the diversity of the topic that make me every day dealing with different profile and a lot of people that are coming from different creative backgrounds. So obviously we have a team, we have a creative studio, but it's not enough. So the magic of those projects is that for any single project, usually we involve other offices, and obviously, they bring different mindset.
Nice.
Or we will also work with potentially creative freelancer that we can find here at the Hive, or whatever it could be. So I think from a professional perspective, it reminds me the business school. when we have to deal with all those marketing cases. From a personal perspective, we discussed about this in the past together, especially I think since you are expecting a baby very soon. In my case, the baby time is behind me and I'm glad with that. But I'm dealing with two young teenagers and this is fascinating. So I have a daughter that is 12 and I have a son that is turning 11 soon. It's fascinating when basically I recently watched a movie with them and they are basically connected all the dots from the music behind the movie, the casting, showcasing some new emerging actors that actually have been revealed by a Netflix show. So the branding, the brand they are working, designers, so they are connecting all the dots. So for me, as a business leader in digital influence marketing industry, having those teenagers around me is fascinating because they bring me up to date to a lot of things. It might be awkward, but we do a lot of business that are linked to TikTok, Instagram, about how people can influence the brand reputation.
Well, they're tomorrow's consumers.
Yes,
and
exactly.
They're building their own culture.
The secret recipe to still be connected is obviously having a bench of young creative and young staff with me. And then having my kids also obviously is the part,
Yeah. Second question, what's something you've changed your mind about this year?
So there have been a few things, but it's interesting because we are convinced that in our industry, as a marketing agency, we always have to innovate, always have to bring new technology. Obviously, AI is an important component of this. So we've been developing for 2 years our internal AI environment. I was not fully convinced about how it's going to help.
Why?
On the daily basis. I was not exactly sure how it's going to help us to optimize productivity. Any type of business, especially in servicing business, when you help, brands, clients, the productivity is key. Usually, what makes agency profitable is usually the productivity. It's like how much time you spend on each client.
Yeah.
And technically, you can measure the value of your time, the cost of your staff, and you can compare with the money you are making on each project. If you do this properly, you will realize that there are many projects that are not profitable from an agency perspective, but they can help you to build your reputation for getting a bigger business. So it's different strategy. But let's say the question about how we utilize AI was more about, okay, there is a learning process. And how do you properly use AI? And assuming that if you don't use properly, technically the time you are saving with the AI support might be wasted by the time you need to correct the result. So, so there have been a lot of discussions. In the end, I think it's a matter of practice. It's like if tomorrow you want to be good at whatever is social media, podcasting, you need to practice. And you won't be a master of podcast, the first 2 3 months.
You need to spend time.
Yeah, exactly.
Learning.
You need to invest. The question I have now is I realize that not everyone is completely comfortable adapting this new way of dealing with our job. And maybe we will need an adjustment in our team structure. Now, what we are doing is almost every month when I'm gathering, with the team, I'm actually asking them, how do you use AI? And how do AI is actually helping your daily work? So we try to better monitor and understand the way they utilize the technology that we develop for them.
That's interesting because with AI, it's like a white canvas and you can do so many things. It's not only about mastering AI, but also how to add it in your business in a way that you kind of have control on it and it's organized.
It's bringing a lot of discussion with our client because most of our clients are using AI as well, probably asking the same prompt as the one you're asking, meaning that if tomorrow I have to do a tagline for a campaign, if I suggest some tagline options to the client that have been generated by AI, they might come back to me and say, oh, it's interesting, but actually what you suggest is exactly what we got from our hand.
So what's your added value?
Yeah, exactly. So it can challenge the way we are working. And obviously it's proven that AI on its own is not enough. But My main questions, that it's still something ongoing on my head, is, and also for the education of my kids, it's I tend to realize over the years that most of the human beings, we can be lazy. We can take the
all human
yeah,
beings.
so it's a natural ways. So we'll tend to pick the easy path instead of going to the complicated one. So AI is actually driving you to the easy path.
Yes. Yeah.
Because it's like you're going to save time. But is the answer given by AI good enough? And obviously not in our business is not enough. So it's obviously how much we also utilize the tool and how we take this time that we are saving to put more, brainstorming in this. This is interesting. Is the early adoption of AI from a creative perspective is now concretely making us signing new business.
Oh, interesting. Looking forward to seeing in the future, how this will go for your agency, but also other agencies. I guess there will be probably drastic changes, and it might be tough for some agencies. Maybe this is related to what we've just said, but my next question was, what's one decision that changed the direction of your business? So maybe it's related.
It is, but so obviously the integration of having AI has been changing our business approach. We estimate that potentially most of the staff can save 20 to 30% of time by optimizing AI. So the question is more about how do you use the time, AI has been helping you to save. We are not looking for more and more. It's not the volume of project, it's more the quality of the project. So in that sense, I think one of the biggest changes we did in our business is in the past few months, we made two important decisions and also acquisition of knowledge. We acquire a productions company that is representing film directors and photographers. Okay. And at the same time, we also did an event company acquisitions. This is coming with the transformation of our business. So,
experience.
I came from Hermès, where back then we were doing a lot of traditional marketing activations. Launching a press day when you introduce your collection with journalists was a very traditional way. This is when I arrived in this business, but at the same time, digital, social media, e-commerce was arriving strongly. So luckily, I arrived at the right time because suddenly from a traditional marketing, we moved to online activations. What was been fascinating to me is how the online, whatever was social or e-commerce, was suddenly gaining all the attentions. And sometimes impacting a bit the way you used to do traditional marketing. And luckily, I think this happened mainly after the COVID. We can easily sense that experiential marketing will be the most important things now. In our business of influencer marketing, we don't talk about influencer marketing. Actually, the problem of a brand is not about having a new TikToker. They don't have those type of problems. Their problem is their reputations. Yeah. So it's the influence. The topic we are talking about is influence. Let's say you want to say, I want to promote my city, from a government perspective. And let's say I want to say that this city is a sustainable city, a walkable city, an environmental city. How do you project this? Do you need influencer to tell your city is green, by example? Not exactly, maybe not from this. But maybe you can partner with an organization, with a brand. Could be, let's say, a sneaker brand that can prove with a collab that this city is actually very walkable and very green.
And how many steps you've done every day.
So, or you can have a sport brand supporting this approach. There could be different ways. And then there will be a second layer when influencer will play a role. But I think what is key in there is having the right collaboration. So, instead of looking for someone telling something on your behalf with an audience, I think it's more about the meaningful approach behind this. And then which type of content they need. So I think the content that people will produce related to this is very key in all of this. And thirdly, I will say that being able to picture this with a more experiential approach is key. I think this is a big change in our business. I'm very happy that finally, we can combine more offline experience with
digital
the engagement that is obviously driven by actually new generation that are browsing online, but you need to have a legitimate way to convince them to come to your boutique to experience something.
The next question, so you can answer from a business perspective or personal perspective or both. What can't you stop thinking about these days?
Interesting. One of the things that I keep in mind is how do we spend our time in a very efficient way? It's coming back also to the reflection time that we have to think about something that you will forecast or prepare for the future. But we both live in Asia, and what I observe, especially in a city like Hong Kong, is the speed of the city that keeps us having a very excited path.
Yeah.
But again, at the same time, I think we are lacking sometimes a time for reflections. And
it's very intense.
So what Hermès taught me, I learned what they call the singularity, say how to make things different. They also have their own time, they don't always follow the trend. I like this idea that even if we are following AI innovations, as an agency, we don't always try to be the best at the new technology. We also try to be the best at what our client needs from us. Means they've been things we've been doing for the past 10, 15 years, and part of those things will continue. So how do we excel? How do we making sure we are the best in those things? I think the time and how we spend our time is becoming an obsession to me, especially because, again, from a more personal perspective, dealing with teenagers, everything they do has to be fast. I don't know if you realize, I've been reading this article lately. The new generation are obviously not spending the same exact time as we do. I think things will adjust with time. So going to the cinema, and for this generation, spending 2 hours to watch a movie from Nolan or a new Spider-Man is a bit challenging because they've been used to interact with their friends, with their mobile in a very instant way. Yeah. It's very difficult for them to disconnect to all of this for more than a few minutes sometimes.
But I was talking to a chef lately, and he was telling me that even in fine dining, younger generations, most of them, they don't want to stay 2 to 3 hours eating.
Related to this, Netflix is asking content creators, producers, and film directors to produce shortest content. Because what they noticed is all those new generation, usually they are not patient enough when they watch a TV series. And most of the time they accelerate the speed of whatever it's a film. Or I've been observing my kids sometimes, and I realize it's very rare that they watch the whole thing in one piece. So it's bringing us back to how do we spend our time and so, it might sound contradictory as a business person that is always chasing a growth in our business, but I think taking time for reflections, being slower sometimes is the right things to do.
Yeah. If we were sitting again here 1 year from now, what do you hope will have changed?
Something I'm trying to personally achieve is I've been working in Europe with different markets, and Europe has been always fascinating by the culture, the diversity. If I take my own case, I was born and raised in Paris, but my mom is originally from Spain, from Catalonia. So I also have some Spanish roots. So I spent time in Spain when I was younger. I got a job when I was in Hermès when I had to cover Europe as a region. So I had to deal with German people, Belgium, British, whatever. Obviously, they've been different, culture. I learned from all of them. So one of the things I'm still working on for the past 10 years, and it's one of my key objectives, we are willing to expand our business in Asia. As we speak, we have 2 main offices, one in Hong Kong, one in Shanghai, and a smaller office in Singapore. But if you look at Shanghai, Hong Kong, Singapore, at some point, Shanghai is obviously different, but there are a lot of similarities in those cities. They are very modern, relatively mature. Even China has been evolving fast. So one of the objectives is the work I've been doing in Europe. My objective is to do the same with Asia. We are willing to expand our business by being more locally relevant.
Like where, do you know where would you would like to?
South Korea is definitely a big target for an obvious reason that if you pick South Korean market, their entertainment is impacting the whole generations, let's say, and especially in Asia. It's fascinating how from the K-drama TV show, from the K-pop music, from the food, they have many aspects.
Skincare.
Yeah, exactly, the skincare. So we can name a lot. Also the technology, whatever. So they have a lot. Being in Hong Kong, dealing with China for many years, I wouldn't say I feel bored, but obviously my brain has always been needed to be challenged with new things to learn. And I think South Korea is definitely a market. But not only, there are a lot of emerging markets in the region. So I'm thinking about
Thailand?
Potentially Thailand, which is a big market for content creators, celebrities, very creative market, but also Indonesia, potentially Vietnam. It's going to be probably... we mentioned Vietnam as the new Thailand in terms of tourism, but there is also more coming.
Yeah.
I don't know yet, among all of those markets, which one, because opportunities will lead us to those markets, but definitely, I hope in 1 year time, I'll be able to tell you more stories about, what we are going to achieve in South Korea, in Vietnam, in Philippines, in Indonesia, because if we want to grow, we need to look, a bit beyond what we are covering now.
Exciting. Let's see in 1 year. This is the last question already. What's one piece of advice you would give yourself at the start of the year? We are in August now, considering the experience you gained from January to August. If you were back in January, what would you tell yourself?
I realized that it could be too ambitious sometimes to have a long, a list of objectives you want to achieve. So I will tend to pick maybe 3 main objectives that I want to achieve, and I will repeat those objectives along the year, because at least what I observe is there is 1 or 2 objectives that you will stick to it because they are either necessary or an obsession to you. But I will just advise in that situation to keep the third one, 3rd or 4th, depending how many you have, but again, it's not too many, as a flexible objective, because within the years, there might be a new things coming that you want to challenge yourself. So, at the beginning of the year, I challenged myself to involve myself and the team more in the AI. But this is ongoing, I will say. We challenge ourselves about going more on the experiential marketing, and we pitch a lot of projects in this, and some of them are going to happen now. So, but for the third one, like we discussed about the market, I still don't know which market, we are going to target. It happened that recently we've been focusing more on Japan, while I was thinking that from a business perspective and brand needs, South Korea will be more obvious, but it happened we got many requests about Japan. So I'm also adapting along the year, with those objectives.
Okay. Actually, I lied. There's one more question. So do you have any recommendations for the summer? By recommendation, I mean it can be a habit, a restaurant, a podcast, a quote, a book series, anything.
I've been recently starting Pilates.
Reformer Pilates?
Yes, correct. I was not willing to do this. I had the feeling it's too early for me.
What made you start Pilates?
Getting now above 40s, I start, having. I've been always involved in practicing whatever it's paddle, running, football, and I like to challenge myself. So I tend to push myself. But with years, you realize that instead of pushing yourself, you need to you get to know your body and yourself better. But so you need to adjust your objectives, and the intensity you've been putting in certain activities actually has to be adjusted. So it's hard to admit to me, but you have to deal with your age. Back then, I realized that if I want to keep the same intensity, I need to work more to be more prepared. So my advice about Pilates Reformer is more about having an activity that you can do indoor, because I'm an outdoor person. So technically, I usually go for running outside. I never run indoor. I will run outside. I realize that now with the summer heat we are facing, you need to balance what you do. So if you are dealing with teenagers, running your own business, trying to maintain your girlfriend happy, this is challenging. So I also need to find something for myself. You need to take care of yourself.
It can be intense.
True.
And it's not that easy. It just doesn't work the same muscle and the same. It's not about intensity, and you can mix it with other things. So that's your summer recommendation. That's a good one.
I will stay healthy if you want to be productive and active, right?
Absolutely. Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Julien.
Carmen.
Thank you. It was great. Thank you very much.
See you next time.